Is going to share his gift of flute with us. And so we're going to just begin our meditation when Greg begins, and when Greg feels like that time for him to be done is done, he's just going to cease, and that's going to be the end of our meditation. And so everyone just, get into our expiration, inspiration. And how blessed are we to have someone share their gift with us. And so going forward, he's also going to sing some Native American chanting and music that he does, and Pam's going to join him at some point too, and they're going to share some of their gifts. So I just think, how blessed are we that we get to see the fruit of the people that are here. So everyone, this is Greg, and you know him from being in the classes. Greg, thank you. Come on. I'm just going to play. Yeah, just play from your heart, brother. We'll breathe from ours. wanted to listen to a lot of beautiful meditation music before our class, but I think that's number one in my book so far. With everybody else.
Yes. Oh, yes.
So right from the heart. It was awesome. So we look forward to hearing more of that from Greg. I told him and Pam as well have a wonderful musical inclination. We're all really looking forward to both sharing more of that with us, giving us the opportunity to, as Mary Lou said, hear your heart song, hear your gift, and what an honor that was. So thank you so much. So I'm gonna. You're good. I'll sit there if I need to. So I want to just sit over here again, and I want to open up the floor first and ask those of you who were at the last class or watched it. Did anyone have any experiences after the last class that they noticed, or they felt a change, or they can relate to, or they heard other people speak of since the last class? Anybody have any experiences? Curious. Sometimes I think.
For me, your little story, I actually felt worse for a while after the last class because it just brought back too much at once. But then as the week progressed, well, actually it wasn't until yesterday that I started feeling better. Could replace that negative with positive. So, by relating to you, to be honest with you, it really sucked for a while.
Yeah. And a lot of times when you have an experience that touches you so deeply, it's like a homeopathic, it's a remedy, okay? And a lot of times it's going to unwind and bring things up in you and out of you that you'd rather not go through. But I can guarantee you that as much as the last week was difficult, you are 1,000% less prone to go through that experience than you were before.
What it was is, it hit me growing up, everything was about appearances. My dad was a minister, and of course my mom, Christian education classes and all that. So he's up there preaching every Sunday, but I was the preacher's kid. So the pressure on me to behave and look good, we were the perfect family. Oh boy, we weren't. But that pressure, and that's what I finally realized that it was. My life is all about appearances, and that's what I took from your story. But that's not really what it's about.
Yeah, but I think it's, Andy. I think it's about whatever it needs to be about. And I think for you, that's exactly what it needs to be about. That we can all take something from an experience and let it be something that can help excavate and heal more of what's within us. Remember, when you can hear someone tell a story and the only reaction you're having inside you is just compassion, okay, then there's nothing left in you that really needs to work on anything that they're talking about. You're just there to be compassionate because you understand what it is to go through something. Okay? But when someone tells a story and you feel it vibrate within you and elicit or release something within you, then it's basically something within you that needs to be healed, needs to be brought to another level of consciousness, whatever words you want to put around it. And that's why I was very clear in the class that the only reason that wonderful person's letter had the effect on me was because that person that she was representing lived within me. Okay? And so my excavation process, okay, which was, like I said, about 48 hours, okay? It wasn't a comfortable 48 hours for me anyway, okay, or either, but then now that I'm, a week or so past it, the level of peace and calmness I feel about any of it is so much deeper than it was before that experience. So I almost talk about some of these things are, emotions. A lot of times we encapsulate emotions, and we create what I call emotional abscesses, and we just encapsulate them in this like cystic energy. We just want to contain them, and we don't want them to keep spreading all over. But it doesn't mean they're gone, okay? And what happened with you is, we opened up that abscess and we flushed it out. And we sprayed a lot of healing love into that abscess and said, no more of this. You got to come out. We got to clean this out once and for all. And that abscess was probably the size of a size of that O when you and I first worked on it, okay? And it was probably the size of this when you cleared it out the rest of the way. But I'm fairly confident if you had that strong of a reaction that you've gotten everything you need to get out of that experience now. You can be at peace that all you have to do is be the best you can be. And that's it. That's as good as it gets. I can only tell you, and again, a lot of times my impression is a little bit different because I just see so many people. I have the luxury to see so many people that it was all over the place. I can't even tell you how many people sat in front of me and told me the exact same thing that I was talking about in class that had happened to them since that class happened. People were wondering why I was just laughing. Because I'm like, you gotta be kidding. And I would say to them, some of them I said, well, I would start to say, did you see the class? Because I thought they must be staying soon. And then I realized that I hadn't put the class up yet because I was taking a longer time to get it up. And I was just like, so I told them, you gotta watch the class. Because when you watch the class and you see what's happening, you're gonna totally understand how this is just something God wants healed. This isn't something that I went through. This isn't something Andy went through. This is something that everybody who was ready and willing to have this aspect of their being healed, it was just happening. There's no other way to explain it. So it was more of a phenomenon after that visit. And again, the good part is, as I was helping people go through it, it was validating for me because I wasn't going through it. I was just in that place of compassion, and that was validating that I had surrendered everything I needed to surrender, and I could now just be there and be compassionate to somebody else going through. So let's just go through our review questions. And again, if we have someone, how good I can actually remember his name. So Keith is here with us for the first time tonight, so everyone welcome Keith. Just happy to have you, and hope you enjoy your experience and find it beneficial. What we do, Keith, is we just go through and we review some focus points from the last class just to reflect a little bit. But the class is not sequential, okay? It's not like if you miss a class, you can't come. Just, you're here when you're here, you're going to get what you're meant to get. If you come every week, it has a flow to it, but I always tell them, it's not like a math class. If you don't learn how to add, you can't do multiplication. Just come whenever you come, and you'll get what you're supposed to get out of it. So the reading that Sarah and Carla put together was, at some point, enough unconsciousness will transform into consciousness, and intuition will replace emotion, and we will surrender the dream of independence, come to peace, and begin the practice. We will put ourselves into life's classroom and become its student, dedicating our life to the highest good of all. Remember, we do not judge ourselves. We honor where we are in the now, and we treat ourselves lovingly and compassionately. Okay? So some of the focal points were surrendering to the reality of being loving is a catalyst for change in the world. That as we really do this, we do change the world, and I just tried to share a little bit of that just what we did changed Andy, it changed me, and then I saw a bunch of other people that had changed that didn't even know about the class. Some people may say, well, that's just coincidence, but it was ridiculous how many times it happened, and it was ridiculous how many times God put it right in front of me so that I would know exactly what was happening. So never doubt for a moment what the wonderful intention of this class really contributes to. It's phenomenal. Consciously applying the practice to difficult people and situations will not only show us God working in and through our lives, but also where we are blocked. And we just talked about this. That, if we're willing to put ourselves in positions and we're willing to be loved and honesty in difficult positions, we'll find out where we're really at. Okay? Remember, the practice isn't work we do in our heads. It's work we do in our hearts. And in our hearts, it lets us know where we're really at. Linda?
I just want to say, in terms of thinking about that, and dealing, and have been dealing with a difficult individual, unfortunately, lives next door to me. And one of the things that I had gotten from this class, and yet so much last week, well, that person is doing the very best that they can. And I have said that in terms of so many people now, and it has really kind of released some toxic issues for myself.
That's awesome. Because remember, when you can say that about somebody else, okay, the most beautiful thing that happens is you give yourself permission to say it about yourself. And that's what allows those amazing things to happen. We're all just a reflection of the same thing. So as we can say that about other people and really mean it in our heart, and we can practice it as Linda is, we are healed. We're healed. And that's what I try and explain to people about the practice, that if you really practice the practice will heal you of things, simply because of your dedication to practicing it in difficult situations with intimate people that you can't get away from.
Right.
Anyone else?
Yeah.
Yes?
I think it has to do also with, it came to me when we were talking about seeing all these people. You have to be open to seeing the miracles. And that feeds me. If I'm open to seeing the miracles, they're there all the time, but if I'm running around like a chicken with my head cut off, then I don't see the miracles. So I think you were open to seeing the miracles, and I think that's part of our growth, to be able to see it in other people and see how the whole, it's like the butterfly effect, actually.
That's a great point. And I love your perspective on that, because the words aren't right that I take it for granted, because I don't, but it's so normal for me, because I'm such in the practice of looking at them all the time. And what Kat said is just dead on. If you make a point of looking for the miracles, you'll see them everywhere. And when you see them everywhere, I try and explain to people that when you see them everywhere, that God is no longer a faith issue. You see it, you know it, it's right there. It's undeniable. You see it, it's there because it's here, and it's here because it's there. So, not always easy, but when you get in the habit of doing it, it's getting easier and easier, isn't it, Kat?
Well, I'm not even thinking about it anymore.
That's it.
I'm just seeing the miracles. I mean, the people at work are all changing, and I am sure that it is because I'm changing inside, but our interactions are changing. I don't feel like I need to fit in anymore. I don't really care if I fit in anymore.
Wow.
Because they're bringing to the table what they bring to the table, and I'm bringing to the table what I'm bringing to the table. And if we clash, then we weren't meant to be at the same table at the same time. But we're all doing the best we can.
Right on. We are empowered when we step into our roles as healers, thank you, and practicing the practice by loving each other. This is again a deep piece of wisdom that I work very hard to impart on all of you. That a healer isn't someone who puts his hands on someone necessarily. A healer is someone who holds the intention of healing. That's what makes someone truly a healer. When they hold the intention of what's best for everyone, the healing of everyone in their heart, that's what makes somebody a healer. It doesn't matter what they can do when they put their hands on someone. It doesn't matter that they can make someone feel instantly better. It's not what it's about. Being a true healer means you're dedicating who you are to the balance and healing of all life in you and around you. And you're selfless and you're without ego in needing recognition or affirmation for holding that intention. That's what a true healer is.
I have to bring something up that I didn't think about until you just brought up.
Sure.
You know what I do. I work with people in their money relationship. And I've been very cautious over the last 4 years to be very careful in using the word do it. Because not everybody takes well to that. And over the weekend, after one of my meditations, it became very clear I have to stop avoiding that. Because what I really do is heal their relationship with money. And so that's been a real interesting transition going into that. I'm not just going out and yelling into the world, but it's the acceptance first out there. And after 4 years, I found use.
Isn't that awesome? Beautiful. Yeah, I mean, and honestly, what a wonderful relationship to begin healing for people. You know, money is just a thing, okay? It's just another energy, but people have had such a torturous relationship with it, whether they've had it or lost it or whatever, and that's a wonderful space to step into, Jen, and thank you so much for really...
Well, you've gone the journey with me, so you
Yeah.
from the very beginning.
Yeah.
It's not something that I went out. I have a difficult time finding the exact words of what I do. And I stayed away from that terminology because there was a different connotation, and I didn't want to limit it to just that population.
Right.
And now we don't care.
Isn't that neat? Yeah. Now you feel just good about it. It's just...
It's very calm, it's very easy.
Yeah, exactly. That's awesome. We're not taking on small intentions in this room, are we? I love it. Very courageous. Very courageous. What we need to do, we learn, is to completely surrender to life, absent of any self-interest, so that we can live in harmony with all of life. It's that simple. Okay? Reflection questions. Practice deliberate, loving intentions with people we meet throughout the day and situations we may read or hear about. What shifts in awareness do I notice? But this is where you start to get a sense of this, okay? That this is the reflection question, and we've already covered it. This was you, this was Linda, this was Jen, this is everyone just naturally, this is Andy, this is everyone just naturally saying what their experiences have been. We're automatically falling into these questions. That's just really cool. Whether a situation with a person or event changes for the better or not, how do I feel when I practice love? Okay? So, Linda, tell us again, as you're dealing with this person, is this person really changing how they are yet with you just telling yourself they're doing the best they can, they're doing the best they can? Yeah.
I can't say that.
Right, you can't say that, right?
No, I can't say that.
Right, but how are you feeling about that situation?
It's a relief.
That's it.
For me. It's a relief.
Right.
Just to let
Let it be.
let it be, yes. Let it go, let it be. That's what I'm trying to do.
Okay.
More inspiration with your breath, have the inspiration come in and you feel lighter and more energized.
Because it's only hurting me, it's not hurting her.
That's right.
It's only hurting me.
That's right. That's right. Excellent. Anyone else has anything else to comment about the last class? Anything?
No mistakes, but somehow.
Oh, fine.
Yeah.
628.
Yeah, but there are no mistakes. It's like God wanted us to talk about that, and now there's more.
Okay, so now we're going to review 712. You know what? That's just you just go right with it. Although we're no longer children. Oh yeah. It's so funny because I was going to my room and I was going to copy tonight, and she said I already have a copy of it. So when I sat down, I thought that was the copy she gave me. So I went through it. So there really is no mistakes. Because if I would have just copied it, we wouldn't have gone back and reviewed them.
Right?
So that's great. Although we're no longer children, we still don't want to upset or disappoint the authorities in our lives. How can we grow to be truthful when we don't want to upset any authority figure? How can we tell the truth when those emotions around authority are at stake? I don't want to make it worse. I don't want to aggravate anybody. I don't want to be rejected. I don't want them not to like me. Remember, we do not judge ourselves. We honor where we're at. Now we treat ourselves lovingly and compassionately. Okay, the focus points. Conflict in others is divinely inspired and an opportunity for growth. Okay? Again, perfect, Linda. Okay? Again, perfect, Kat. Okay? Perfect. Okay? And yours, your conflict was, you came into conflict with what you once believed was true, didn't you?
Plus, I just come back from visiting my mom.
Oh.
So that's what exacerbated the whole thing.
Yeah, it was really meant to come to a head, wasn't it?
You know, all those, and I was only there for a day and a half, but enough to set those old tapes rolling.
Beautiful.
But obviously it was meant to happen.
Well, that's,
That
yeah,
happened right after.
right on.
Dealt for me with it.
You see it? I mean,
So
come on,
I
you can't
got
plan
some
it.
clarity through the week about that.
That's awesome. Other people reflect to us not only those parts of ourselves that we are ready to be resolved, healed, and released, but also our growth. Okay, we talked about that as well. When we source ourselves from God in love, we free ourselves from the enslavement of others' perceptions of us, and Linda just testified to that. That's when you're free. When who you were doesn't define who you are. When only the God that you come from defines who you are, and only God's opinion of you, which is, I love you, I know you're doing the best you can, accept yourself as you are. That's the only opinion that really matters. Doesn't mean there's not always room for improvement. We're all growing and changing, but we should do it in that space. Reflection questions. How do I reconcile, accept, and celebrate the person I once was in relation to who I am now and who I am becoming? Okay. So how do I reconcile, accept, and celebrate the person? Well, the key to this is that you wouldn't be who you are if you weren't who you were. If you can always remember that, you can always find purpose, meaning, and perfection in who you were, and you can let her go, or him go, and say, that's who I was, that was the best I can, now this is the best I can, I'll do the best I can with this.
When I was young, I was told, I'd made a mess of my life and I was getting it back together. I was told that everything that I did, everything that I did and everything that I experienced is part of who I am right here and right now. If anything had been different, I wouldn't be here. And then further down the line, that was sealed in with, and I don't know if it's, I can't remember if it's from Emmett Fox, but somebody shared this with me, that it's important for me to remember who I am and whose I am. And whose I am is God's. And we talked about this last week. It's like part of that is accepting that I know what I know. And I know what's true. And that all comes from that very first statement that I was taught when I was 16. It's part of who I am right here and right now.
How I use some of this information to help me is I can look at someone's behavior and not with judgment, but with just straight observation, and I can say, how can I be upset with them when that's who I was? If I had the right to be that person, if I had the right to go through that experience, if I had the right to unknowingly hurt others or behave inappropriately because that was the best I could do, who am I to say that they don't have that same right? Who am I to say that they're wrong for doing what I used to do? Okay, whether I remember it or not, that's why one of the most powerful parts of the book, and when it was coming through me and I spoke it and then I read it, it was that line of, everyone's been the rapist and everyone's been raped, everyone's been the murderer and everyone's been murdered. Like, stop judging what people are doing because you never really know what you've done. And you're looking at your life in a very small snapshot, and that's making you feel really good, okay, about yourself, or really bad. Stop all of it. Just accept that everybody is in a continuum of change, and everyone has played a part in someone's life in a positive or what can be seen as a negative light. Don't judge them. Accept them, love them, offer them guidance so that maybe their road through that can be a little easier than yours was. Think of the things you would have liked to have heard or known when you were going through that. Offer them if they're open or ready for them, and if not, say a prayer for them, send them a loving intention, have compassion for them, let it go, and just let it go. And that always, yeah.
This is amazing how fabulous this is, because I had obstacles in getting here tonight, and I knew I was meant to be here, so it's all just validating that. But I wasn't here last week, so thank you for sharing what happened last week. But Andy, I've got to go and see my mum in a few days, and 2 days and that was enough. So, and as Keith knows, there's been a lot of conflict in the past, but I always take the practice with me when I travel. I travel on the weekend, and I was coming home last night on the plane, I just opened up a page and it talked about the pylons, and it could have been more perfect about how, because I've been working a lot the last few weeks since I've seen you on not letting my past experiences dictate what's going to happen when I go, and worrying about things that haven't even happened yet, so sort of predicting how she's going to be and how she's going to treat me. And that couldn't have been more perfect to read last night to start with, and then today we're talking about who we are as this new person, and I really feel like I'm going as a new person, and you said to me that's because you need to go, and I can't wait to witness the growth. At the same time, I'm trying not to put pressure on myself, and there has to be this way. But I know just sitting here now, this peaceful thing just flowed over me in my heart saying you're going to be fine. You always say, when you say to yourself, okay, I'm going to be fine, that's when you're practicing the practice. And so it's all just swelling through me. So I was going to say this is amazing. Yeah. And I knew I had to be here tonight, and as I said, there were a few obstacles in the way that I moved mountains to get here, and here I am. Yeah.
Going back to what you said there a minute ago. And you're going to be aware of what I'm going to say. Something happened with us in our family. I hold a lot of hatred towards certain people in my family. So how do you let go of something like that? I don't know how to do it, because I'm fine going along my path for a while, and then certain things come up in life again about it, and it gets me kind of irate again.
Okay, so I'm gonna first of all, I'm gonna answer your question, and then I want to give a little bit of an explanation, okay? And the answer I'm giving, it's just, I want to give you like what I was told to tell you as soon as you asked me the question, okay? You asked me, how do you let go of something like that happens, okay? And my response to you is from my heart, how do you hold on to it?
That's a good question.
I can't hold on to it. How do you hold on to something that makes you feel hatred? I don't know how to hold on to something that makes me feel hatred anymore. I don't know how to hold on to it. So because I don't know how to hold on to it, I don't know how to tell you to let it go. I don't know how to tell you that. Now, what I can tell you from what I would think of from a past space in my life was, okay, is I would realize that holding on to it is fundamentally making me sick. That as much as you want to have hatred, okay, you're a loving being. You're a really good guy. And as much as you don't want to believe you're a good guy, because if you really believe you're a good guy, you can't hold on to hatred either. You deny what a great guy you are so that you can hold on to the hatred or the problems that you don't want to let go. But the reality is, you're a really great guy. And you need to just accept that you really are a great loving guy, and because you are a great loving guy, you can't hold on to it either. But you're telling yourself you're something that you're not, so you can hold on to it. When really what you are, can't. You can't. So that's the best advice I can give you on that. And I know your heart. I've known Ed for years and years and years. And he considers himself to be a bit cantankerous, you know. But Ed has such a big heart, and he's really, he's eventually going to realize that his heart is where he is, and everything else, you have to let it go. Now, what does that mean? If you let it go, does it mean that that person is, you know, off the hook? Yeah. If you let it go, does it mean that person's life is a little bit easier because they don't have such a imposed feeling of shame or guilt on them? Yeah. But didn't someone have to do that for you? If we look at all the people that have had to forgive us, why wouldn't we want to be part of the group that forgives others? If it weren't for that level of acceptance and forgiveness that's naturally built into the fabric of life, we would all feel so constantly incarcerated that none of us would really be able to evolve into a space of love. So the long-winded question is, you really don't have a choice, and as long as you give yourself a choice to hold hatred, you will never fully enjoy the loving person that you are. And that's why I think that really ends up coming, that if you choose to hold hatred towards another, you never fully realize what a loving person you are. And we're here to really realize what loving individuals we are. And that has to be the goal. And to reach that goal, we have to let go of those feelings of hatred or disappointment or anything else. So I want to share a tiny story that's in no way compares to what they've gone through. And that's between us and them. Have I answered the question as best I could?
Fine.
Okay.